What's up, guys and gals? Coach Dale here with BPC Performance Coaching. Wanted to take a second to cover some of the changes to the Ironman Memphis 70.3 course. Just a few changes, all for the better. I also wanted to give a little bit of insight, a little bit more insight on some parts of the course because I've ridden it a ton at this point, including last year's race when it was monsooning. It's not going to happen again. But I wanted to cover some of the changes. They're all for the better, but I didn't want to have to create an entirely new course preview. So here we go. First things first. Last year was a fluke. It monsooned from start to finish, and so there were problems with parking. Ironman and Shelby Farms have dumped a ton of time, effort, and money into improving the field that everyone was parked in last year. They have basically put down a bunch more rock and things to kind of solidify that parking lot. So even if it does monsoon, which it's not going to, that parking lot or that area will be safe to park in. On top of that, they've opened some more parking in the park for athletes to park in the morning of. So parking, bam, better. Food trucks. There's going to be a few food trucks this year for your Sherpas, your family, friends, everyone who's coming to cheer you on. So there are going to be food choices for them. Those food trucks will most likely kind of be parked somewhere near the finish line up to possibly like closer to the playground. So it won't be too far of a walk to get food, but if they're watching you on the course, they're going to be doing some walking anyway. So food. So let's talk about the swim course. The swim course has changed just a tad this year, and that was listening to all you guys' feedback. The swim course exit has changed from the boat ramp at the park to the little peninsula that has some like sunbathing chairs and stuff like that. So more or less, basically what they've done is they've taken about 1/10 of a mile out of the distance basically to transition, which is nice. They've taken out running uphill from the water to get to transition. It's going to be a much straighter path and all carpet. So no need to drop your shoes at the swim exit. The entire way to at least till it gets to grass is going to be carpet. So thank you, Ironman. As far as the bike goes, there's been no major changes to the bike course. They have changed a few ways that they're controlling traffic on some of the left turns that we have to make. Well, not just left turns, but the way that they're controlling what lane you're in when you're having to cross traffic and stuff like that. Ironman has worked with the Shelby County Sheriff's Department, and they've done a great job about switching things up. You know, you learn a lot after the first year of an event, and race director Erica Larson in Ironman has paid attention to everything that could have been improved after year one, and they've done that, I feel. The last aid station is going to be moved a little bit. It's really going to still be close to that 15 mile gaps. So your first aid station's still at 196 and Macon, and then every 15 miles, basically, you're still going to have an aid station. So now that I've ridden the course a number of times, I wanted to give a little bit more insight. And for those of you who don't know the course, this may be totally useless because you maybe haven't studied it enough. But there are a couple spots to be careful on. This course, after having ridden it, it is rolling, right? So there are a couple of steep, short hills, and there are what most would consider endless rollers. If you're coming from the south, Florida, South Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, that sort of thing, this is likely going to feel like a very hilly course. If you're coming from, or have done courses like Lake Placid, Coeur d'Alene, Boulder, St. George, courses like that, this is going to seem like a cakewalk. But There are a few sections on the course that you just need to be careful about. So for the most part, the course is in great shape. When you take the turn onto 196 past aid station 1, you're going to be coming downhill fairly quickly. And then as you come downhill, there's a bridge. There was an attempt to smooth out the pavement at this bridge. But I will tell you, you'll see it coming because there's a big blob of black pavement in your sight when you're coming up on it. But the road surface about 100 yards before that black patch and 100 yards after it, including the black patch, is a little bumpy. So just be careful. You can totally ride it in aero. Just keep your eyes up and look for any bigger bumps, divots, that sort of thing. So that is on 196 going north prior to the first big hill. The other section, so when you get on Clay Pond, you're on the Canadaville Loop, you've gone over the second largest hill. Once you've gone over that hill, you're on Canadaville Loop, you turn left on Clay Pond. Clay Pond is chip seal road. So although that part of the course is flat with some rollers and some kind of uphills that look false flat, because of the road surface, it is a little bit slower. So don't get impatient on that section and don't get frustrated because you feel like you should be going faster. It's not a super fast road surface. So it's easy to push yourself too hard trying to maintain speed, and then you've exerted yourself too much or burnt a match on a section where you didn't really need to. At the end of Clay Pond, there is a left-hand turn back on Macon. This is probably the worst spot on the course. There was attempts to get people out there to fix it. As of last weekend, a week before the race, it was still kind of chunked up. So when you come to the end of that, you want to stay in the right-hand lane. Now I know there's a really, personally, I would cut through the left-hand lane and cut that turn as sharp as possible, but that's where the worst patch is. It's in the oncoming lane. So if you cut across the left-hand side, there's a good chance you're gonna hit a broken patch in the road, and there could be loose gravel and stuff in there. And you can be coming pretty fast into that turn. So just be careful about that. It's when the road tees at the end of Clay Pond back into Macon Road. The next section that you need to be a little careful on. Once you get off Macon, you take a right turn, there's a short stretch. Once you get to the end of that, you're hanging a right, and it's only about a quarter mile, but the pavement is really rough. So you're about to start coming back south, and you come off of Macon, and there's that just little stretch there. The road just kind of is crappy. It's always been crappy. So just be careful there. When you get onto 194 going south, however, it is very smooth and very fast. So you'll love it. The only other major spot is right when you turn off of 194 onto Raleigh-LaGrange, and now you're coming back west. It's the first time where you're coming back west. That patch of road at the turn, like I've said in the regular preview, once you start seeing the cows, that's where you're about to turn right. And so you'll turn right, and the road right there is a little crappy for maybe 40, 50 yards maybe. So just watch out when you take that turn, because you are going to be coming very fast into that turn. The last turn that I will just remind you to be careful about is the turn once you're on Fisherville Road. Once you get off of Raleigh-LaGrange onto Fisherville, there's a church on the right. You turn, and it's a short, steep uphill to get onto Fisherville, and Fisherville is a very rolling road. After the last roller on Fisherville, you're going to bend left, and it kind of bends back right, and now you're in this nice, awesome tree cover. And there is a left-hand turn coming that's kind of hard to see, and the left-hand turn is also kind of off camber, so the road kind of dips to the north. So you're going to be riding it off camber. So you're going to come into it a lot of speed because it's on a downhill. My suggestion would be to either slow down or see if you can come in and cut the inside of that turn off a little bit. Now there should be somebody there directing traffic, but if there's a car coming, you really don't want to be cutting out the inside of that turn. So just be cautious there because you're going to be coming into it with a lot of speed. A couple things I'll say on pacing. Now, having ridden this course a number of times, keep in mind the course is harder on the back half. The front half of the course has your two major hills. However, the back half of the course has several rollers that don't result in downhills. So pretty much everything on the first half of the course, anytime you get a longer roller or incline, it's always followed by a nice fast downhill, so you get recovery. On the back half of the course, and basically I'm breaking it into once you start coming back west. So once you turn off a 194, when you're going straight south, there are a couple good rollers on 194. There's like a triple, or we could call it a quad, little step up thing that doesn't necessarily result in a downhill after the last step up, but it's still pretty fast. But once you come back west on Raleigh-LaGrange, the rollers they don't always end in a downhill. So save some juice, save your legs. If you're using power to regulate yourself, stick to your average power on the front half of the race and try not to burn too many matches on some of the hills where you're going to be forced to put out a bigger effort, because you're going to want to have legs for at least the last 20 miles of the course. So fair warning. On to the run. No changes. The only change to the run course is that they've moved the Tri-Club Village closer to the finish line and closer to the area where we had our tailgate last year, which we will be back there this year, bigger and better. So if you are at the race this year or any year, come by, say hello. We'd love to meet you. And we'll be out there on the run course cheering people on. Just look for the flags and the crazy people and costumes and stuff like that. Since this is coming out pretty late, we'd appreciate it if you would share this with your friends who may be racing. And if you like content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It really helps us continue to put out information like this to the tri community. You can also check out our podcast, Coaches on Couches. We've got a ton of great content and interviews and stuff like that on the podcast. So we hope to see you guys out there. Don't forget to trust your training.